Review. And so if you notice here, the very first step we need to do is take out a greatest common factor. Is there one here? No. And so the next thing I notice is that the number here in front of x squared is not 1. So since it is not 1, what you need to do is you need to factor a little different way than what we've done before in the past. Okay? So what you're going to do now is you're going to multiply the first and the last numbers. So if I multiply the first and the last, what do you get?
18.
18. So I'm now, this is my key number. You know before when we just looked at the last number and we worked our way back? This is my key number now that I'm going to work my way back. So I'm looking for two factors of 18 that differ by 7. And what are those two factors of 18 that differ by 7? 9 and 2. How do you get a positive 7 from 9 and 2?
9 minus 2.
Positive 9, negative 2. Now this is the step that gets a little bit funky. Because what you're going to do is you're going to rewrite 7x using nothing more than the 9 and the negative 2. So I'm going to write it out now. And then I'm going to have you look and see if you understand what I did. I copied the exact same problem down except for in place of the 9, or in place of the 7, I used the 9 and the 2. So if you look at this, if I take 9x minus 2x, what do you get? 7x, which is exactly what I started with. So now with 4 terms, how I factor now is I group them by 2's. So you see how I'm grouping them by 2's? So in this first grouping, what is in common with the 6x squared and the 9x? 3x. So I'm going to take that out. So 3 times what is 6? 2. X times what is x squared? X. Plus, I'm going to now take 3x from 9x. So 3 times what is 9? 3. X times what is x? Nothing, yeah. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this next bunch. What can you take out from a negative 2x and a negative 3? You can't take anything out, but I'm going to tell you. In order to do this correctly, I have to somehow get 2x plus 3 from this bunch. Because they have to match. Okay? So how do I make 2x positive 3? How do I make these positive like that? I'm going to take out a negative 1. So if I take that negative 1 out, what does the negative 2x minus 3 become? 2x plus 3. Okay, now our whole goal, remember, was to get these two to match. They match, we're good. That is one of the factors. So 2x plus 3 is 1. Can somebody guess what the other one will be? What? 3x minus 1. So the next factor is going to be whatever is left on the outside. Okay, and that is what 6x squared plus 7x minus 3 will factor to be. All right, we're going to go through a couple more. Okay, let's look at this one. 20y squared minus 11y minus 3. So very first step, GCF, is there one? No, so then I see that this number is not a 1, and so what that means is I'm going to take first times last, and what do you get?
66.
So I'm looking for two factors of 60 that differ by 11. What are those two factors of 60 that differ by 11? 15 and what? 4. Now I need to figure out how do you get a negative 11 from 15 and 4? Negative 15, positive 4. Next step, I need to rewrite. So what's the first thing I'm going to write down? Yep, 20y squared. What's going to come next?
Negative 15.
Yep. Plus 4y minus 3. What are you going to do now? Group. So group them. What can you take out from the first bunch? 5, 5y. What will now be left? 4y minus 3. Good. Okay, what can I take out from the second bunch? Nothing, but you have to take something out. So when we ever get to this step where these actually match right now, you're always going to put a 1 as a placeholder. So I'm going to put plus 1, and then I'm going to write my parentheses. Okay, this is the step where we check. These two match, everything's great. So I get 4y minus 3. What's my other factor going to be?
5y plus 1.
5y plus 1.
But if the 5y plus 1 is in front of it.
Nope. Because that's what we took out from 20 and 15. Alrighty, we're going to try another one. 4m squared plus 20m plus 25. Very first step. GCF, is there one? Nope. So now what do I do?
Take 25.
Take 4 times 25. Oh, so 4 times 25 we know is, so I'm looking for two factors of 100 that add up to 20.
10.
10 and 10. How do you get a positive 20 from 10 and 10? Positive 10, positive 10. Good. What's my next step going to be? Yep, so what?
Rewrite it.
4m squared plus 10m plus 10m plus 20.
Okay, very good. What do you do now?
Put them in parentheses.
Group them. What can you take from the first bunch?
2m.
2m, and what does that leave me with?
2m.
Okay, 2m plus 5. What can I take out from the second bunch? A 5, and what does that leave me with? 2m plus 5. So this is the check we make. They match? We're good. So that's one of my factors. What's my other factor going to be? 2m plus 5. Now this is one in which you need to actually go one step further. What do you know about both of those? They're what?
They're the same.
They're the same. So my final answer is going to look like this. 2m plus 5 quantity squared. This is actually called a perfect trinomial square. Let's look at one more, I think. Let's see. Yep, one more. 9m squared minus 75mn plus 24n squared. So this one has two variables. Very first step, GCF. Yeah, 3 goes into them all.
Oh, right.
So I'm going to take a 3 out, and what does that leave me with? 3m squared minus 25mn plus 8n squared. Good. So then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that 3 outside, and that's just going to follow me down all the way throughout the problem. And I'm just going to solve the problem like I normally would. So I'm going to take 3 times 8, which is what? 24. So I'm looking for two factors of 24 that add up to 25. And what are they? 24 and 1. How do you get a negative 25 from 24 and 1? Negative, negative. Okay. So once again, I'm just going to leave this 3 outside. It's going to hang out there. I'm going to rewrite what's inside the parentheses. And what do I get?
3 and squared
Okay.
minus 24 m minus 1n.
1. Oh, just a sec.
Is it mn?
Yep, there's an mn. Sorry. So minus 24mn minus 1mn, and then plus 8n squared. So remember, you're rewriting this middle term. And this middle term is mn, so that's why you put an mn there. So now what do? Group them. So I'm going to group. Now notice how I've always grouped the negative sign. Whenever you have that negative sign on that third term, you need to group that inside the parentheses so you don't lose it. What's in common with the 3m squared and the 24mn? A 3m. So when I take out a 3m, what do you get? M minus 8n. What can you take out from the second? Negative 1n. How did you get the second parentheses in that? Because I took 3m from 3m squared. Factor that out. Okay, so what do you get when you take out a negative 1n from negative 1mn? What are you left with? An m? Yep. Okay, negative 1 from 8 is negative 8. And then n from n squared leaves you with then n. Okay, so if you notice, those match. So that's one of your factors. Okay, what's your other factor? 3m minus 1n. And then last but not least, what do you need? The 3 right here needs to be brought down. And there you go. So that was a tough one, but I think you've got one of those, one or two on your homework like that. What I need, let's look at one more like that. Okay? Sorry, I thought this was the homework one, but let's look at one more. 4. Okay, so take out a 4. What does that leave me with? Okay. So what do you do now? 4 times 3, which is? So 2 factors of 12 that differ by 4. Yep, 2 and 6. Okay, how do you get a positive 4 from 2 and 6? Positive 6, negative 2. So what does that next one look like? Yep. Yep, 6xy. What do we now? Do now? Group them. What can you take out from the first bunch? 2x, and what does that leave me with? Plus 3y. Very good. You guys caught that one. Good. What can you take out from the next bunch? Negative y. Yep, negative 1y. Okay, we can put the 1 if we want there. And what does that leave me with then? Plus 3y. Yep. Good. So then now we notice those match. Great, that's exactly what we wanted to have happen. So that's one of my factors. What's my other factor? 2x minus 1y, and what's my other factor? The 4 from the front. And there you go. So now you should be able to finish that assignment from yesterday. I believe it was what, 1 through 22. So you need to finish those problems. We are checking that tomorrow. We're going to have either a short quiz tomorrow or Thursday. Okay?